Just where there is a bank.
Yeah, people are trying to. Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon, everyone. I would like to bring to your attention that the session is recorded. I'll immediately hand over the floor to Mr. Saeed Abdullah Al-Hatmi, the CEO of Ahli Bank. To you, Saeed.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. Welcome to this quarterly investor presentation. As usual, we will be dividing this session today in two parts. First part, our CFO will present the financial performance and the key updates. And in the later part, we would be delighted to receive your questions and queries, and we will engage into a discussion with all of you. Before that, as you are all aware, the last quarter continued to be very dynamic at the global as well as the local level. Banking sector remained very dynamic and mainly influenced by the elevated interest rate and the shifting market dynamics as well. At Ahli Bank specifically, last quarter brought its unique, I would say, set of opportunities and challenges as well. Overall, the quarter was good in terms of enhanced earnings, in terms of further diversification of our business lines, strengthening our financial positions. And as I mentioned, maybe last quarter as well, towards end of 2022, we had completed our strategic review for 2023 and 2027, and we had embarked on a growth and a digital transformation journey since then. Now also, during last quarter, we have received a merger and then a takeover offers from Bank Dhofar as well as Invest-led consortium. Both offers were subsequently withdrawn, and we moved forward and we continue to focus on our business growth plans. Again, during the quarter, during the last few maybe months, there were several market disclosure on the subject, and quite frankly, today we have nothing to add on this to this end. So with that, maybe I will leave it to Shiram to take us through the presentations and then address your questions or your queries at the second part of this session. Shiram.
Thank you, Saeed. Good afternoon and welcome to the H1 2023 investor presentation. Before we begin, a general disclaimer that the information that is presented is to disclose the half-yearly financial statements of the bank, and it should not be construed as a forward-looking statement. With that, we move on to today's agenda. We will look at the overall economic overview of Oman and the operating environment we are in, and then I will brief about the Ahli Bank's performance of H1. Oman's economy had been resilient during the post-pandemic period. Post-pandemic, the dual shock of pandemic and the collapse in the oil prices in 2020, it recovered in 2022 with 4.3% GDP growth. And 2023, it's forecasted to grow by 3.2%. This was well supported by the high oil prices, which averaged around 95.2 per barrel in 2022 and is expected to be around $80 in 2023. The oil production was also expected to be around 1.1 million barrel per day during 2023. In 2022, Oman economy registered surplus of 1.15 billion, first time since 2013. This helped the economy in reducing its total government debt. In 2020, the government debt was as high as 71.4% of the GDP, which reduced to around 39.5% as of end of 2022, and it's further expected to go down to 34.3% at end of 2023. All this positive thing is reflected in the credit rating of Oman, as all the credit rating agencies have upgraded Oman in the recent past. If you see the chart below, Fitch, S&P, and CI has rated Oman as BB, double B, and then with a positive outlook. Moody's have also rated Oman at BA2 with a positive outlook. With that, we move on to the operating environment of the banking sector. In the post-pandemic, in the last 2.5 years, the banking assets grew by a compounded annual growth rate (CAGR) at 3.2% to end at 40.8 billion as of 30th June 2023. The customer deposits grew by around 4.8% to reach 27.5 billion as of 30th June 2023. The loans and advances grew by around 5.8% to reach 30.3 billion as of 30 June 2023. The banking sector as a whole, the fundamentals are recovering, as we could see their improved performance substantially in 2022, and which continued into the first half of 2023. When it comes to the asset quality will remain a key risk in 2023 also, with the runoff of payment holidays that was given during the COVID times, and also the rising interest rates. The Fed has increased the interest rate in 2022 by 425 basis points, and continue to increase in 2023. They have increased around 100 basis points until now. The CBO repo rate is also around 6% as of now. This banking sector will watch closely this part of the interest rate because it affects their quality of the portfolio in the long run. Capital, Oman banking system has a sound capital. All the banks have sound capital adequacy ratio. A macro stress testing done by central bank last year proved strong resilience of the Omani banking system. The funding and liquidity position has improved in the recent past with the rebound in oil prices. As I just mentioned, profitability and efficiency of the banking sector has generally improved in 2022 and continue to improve in 2023. The government's willingness to provide support will remain high because of the elevated oil prices and the importance of banking sector to the overall economic growth of the country. Moving on, I'll quickly take you an overview of Ali Bank. Ali Bank operates through its 42 branches, including 19 Islamic branches. As we speak, we have opened our 43rd branch, the 20th Islamic branch. The bank operates through 5 main business segments, namely retail banking, commercial banking, investment banking, treasury and FI, and Islamic banking. The bank has a strong institutional shareholding, as you can see the chart below on the left side, showing the shareholding structure, which more or less remains the same as at the end of last year. The Fitch rating has assigned a credit rating of BB minus with a positive outlook for Ali Bank. On the top right, we see the key performance highlights in the last 4.5 years. The total assets of Ali Bank has grown at a CAGR of 7.6%. To reach 3.18 billion as of 30th June 2023. The deposits grew by 8.6% to reach 2.41 billion as of 30th June 2023. The gross loans and financing grew by 8.6% CAGR to reach 2.76 billion as of 30th June 2023. The branch network, which was around 22 branches at the end of 2018, almost doubled to 42 branches as of the end of June 2023. Some of the key achievements include the asset size crossed 3 billion over the last few years, and bank continues to have the highest ROE in the industry. One of the major points is the bank having a lowest NPL ratio in the industry without any technical write-off. And the incremental market share from 2018 till H1 2023, the bank has grown, taken 17% of the share in the incremental loans of the banking sector of the 8 listed banks, basically, and 17% in the deposit too. Some of the first thing was the first bank in Oman to launch the Tamkeen crowdfunding platform for SMEs through fintech collaboration. Moving on, these are the two main business segments of the bank, the retail banking and the wholesale banking. The retail banking, as I mentioned, offers services through its 42 branches, currently 43, 23 conventional and 20 Islamic branches. The retail team consists of a specialized team dedicated to the retail, premium, private banking, wealth management, and Islamic to deal with the Islamic banking customers. The retail banking emphasizes to widen its customer base of target segment both under conventional and Islamic banking business. It lays a strong emphasis on designing and offering innovative products and services to its customers. The wholesale banking offers its services through 3 subsegments, mainly the corporate banking and SME, treasury and FI, and the investment banking. Corporate banking and SME offers a full array of services through its sector-specific teams, and it continues to focus on its diversification strategy along the Vision 2040 sectors. The treasury and FI gives the complete support and offers a comprehensive package to the corporate banking and SME customers. The FI team covers the global relationship with other financial institutions and acts as an international arm of Ali Bank. On the investment banking side, the investment banking has full-fledged financial advisory and asset management team, asset management division offering a diverse range of investment solutions to its customers, and a brokerage division, which is a leading player in the Muscat Stock Exchange. The contribution of the retail banking and wholesale banking to Ali Bank is as below. On the total assets, 1/4 of the assets is from retail banking, around 733 million as of 30th June 2023, and the wholesale banking contributes about 3/4 of these assets, or 2.45 billion as of 30th June 2023. On the net operating income, retail banking contributes about 1/3 of the income for the 6-month period at 16.3 million, and wholesale banking contributes 2/3 of the net operating income at 32.8 million. Moving on, Islamic banking has completed 10 years of its 10 years since its launch in 2013 and continued to outperform its peers with a CAGR of 22.5% in the last 2.5 years, with asset size at 644 million as of 30th June 2023. The gross financing also grew by 17.7% CAGR to reach 517 million as of 30th June 2023. Customer deposits grew by 24.5% CAGR for 2.5 years to reach 548 million, having more than 100% self-funding. And the Islamic contribution to total Ali Bank is at 20.2% on the share of total assets, which improved from 15.6% as of 2021. And the share of operating income increased from 12.6% as of 2021 to 16.4% as of 30th June 2023. Ali Islamic was also the first Islamic bank in Oman to digitally onboard customers through its mobile banking platform. Ali Islamic offers unmatched Sharia compliant products to all its customers under different categories of its products. Moving on to some of the key metrics of the financial performance of the half year. The gross loan grew by 6.6% from 2.6 billion to 2.76 billion as of 30th June 2023. The deposits grew by 5% from 2.296 billion to 2.411 billion as of 30th June 2023. The operating income grew by 9.7% from 44.7 million to 49.1 million as of 30 for 6 months period ended 30th June 2023. The profit after tax increased by 26.2% from 15.8 million to 19.9 million for the 6 months ended 30th June 2023. Some of the key ratios, ROE improved from 10.8% as of December 2022 to 12.9%. ROA also improved from 1.1% to 1.3% as of 30th June 2023. The cost to income ratio was 39.9% as of 30th June 2023. And NPL remained at the same level of 3.8%. We are one of the lowest amongst the industry. On the capital adequacy ratio, the bank's total capital adequacy ratio was 15.6% and the CET1 was 9.8%. Point to note that the bank is in the process of raising 50 million share capital through its rights issue. Moving on, the NII of the bank slightly dipped to 2.1% of 30th June 2023 due to the increasing cost of fund. The cost to income ratio improved to 39.9% of 30th June 2023 from 42% as of 30th, as of end of 31st December 2021. The other income to total income ratio improved to 22.2%. This remains one of our key strategic focus area, which we'll discuss later on in the slides. Our ROE continuously improved from 2021, which was 9.7% to 12.9% as of 30th June 2023. The return on assets also improved from 1% to 1.3% as of 30th June 2023. Moving on, the gross loans and financing in the last 2.5 years improved by a CAGR of 7.4% from 2.4 billion to 2.76 billion. The stage-wise asset exposure of stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 remained at 81.2, 15.7 and 3.1% as of 30th June 2023. The overall NPL was at 3.8%, better than the industry average of 4.7%, and the ECL coverage was at 96% as of 30th June 2023. On the customer deposit side, the CAGR growth was at 6.9% over the 2.5 years time. The balance in deposit was 2.41 billion as of 30th June. The deposits segments retail contributed 40% of the total deposit, thanks to our retail expansion of branches, which has contributed, the retail contribution has doubled over the last 4 years, which was less than 20% before 2018. The corporate contributed about 34% of the total deposits. Our institutional funding contributed about 26% of the total deposits. Capital adequacy remained at 15.6% and CET1 at 9.9% as of 30th June 2023. Some of the key strategic initiative area remains as the same. The bank continues to have these 4 strategic initiatives to focus on increasing its market share. It aims to expand and diversify its overall customer base and enhance retail deposit contribution to the overall funding mix. It does it through expansion of its physical as well as the digital branches. It continues to enhance its fee income to enhance the share of non-interest income in line with the industry standards by capitalizing further on the digital channels to increase product per customer ratio. One of the key initiative includes our prudent asset growth. The bank has had one of the lowest NPL ratio since its beginning, and it continues to maintain high quality credit by adopting robust risk management practices, and it will continue to grow its loan book prudently by focusing on the Vision 2040 sectors, including SME financing. The bank will continue to grow its digitalization initiatives by enhancing overall digital customer experience across various channels, implement straight-through digital processing, and exploring regional and international fintech collaboration. Moving on, these are some of the key digital initiatives that the bank has launched in the last few years. Tamkeen was one of the first in Oman, which the bank launched as SME crowdfunding in collaboration with the fintech. The highly digital branches, which where the customers can seamlessly perform operation without going to a physical branch. Digital wealth app for its exclusive account holders, and some of the other initiatives, as you can see on the screen. All this positive performance during the year, over the years, has made Ali Bank win key accolades in the year 2023. The bank was recognized for being won the award of excellence in corporate banking. Also won the excellence in digital transformation. Our CEO has won the CEO of the Year award. And the bank also was, the Highly Islamic was also recognized as the best Islamic bank in Oman. And the bank was also won the award of best private bank in Oman in 2023. With this, we come to the end of the presentation.
We'll open the second part now, where we'll receive the questions and any specific queries regarding the results. Any questions? Comments? Abbas? Yes, go ahead, please. Unmute yourself.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank you for the presentation and the Q&A session. Congratulations on a very good set of first half numbers. The second quarter particularly was exceptional. Just wanted to ask you in terms of a couple of things that I noticed in the second quarter that helped you with this large Q-on-Q increase in profitability. And part of it you already mentioned there is a key focus area. So if I have to split it between your operating expense, because I saw a 7% dip quarter on quarter, is that sort of number sustainable? Because for a large bank your size, it's difficult to get these kind of savings. So I was just wondering what happened on the operating expense side in the second quarter. And my second question is, another reason for this increase in profitability was on your fee income side. And you've said it not just on this call, you said it in previous call, that it's a focus area for you. And, you know, when I scale it to fee income divided by sort of total income and or fee income divided by asset base and compare you to the rest of the sector, I see that there's a lot of room for improvement. But I saw that in the second quarter. Now, was that some sort of a sustainable fee income increase that we can expect? Or was there like a one-off nature to that where, you know, you see a normalized sort of run rate returning? And having said that, of course, there'll be a focus from your, from you folks to sort of grow that. So these are my first questions, and I have a couple of more, and then I'll see if you want me to go back in queue.
I'll take the income. I'm Bilal, what you call a boss. I'll take the income question first because that's directly related to me being head of the business. As rightly said, the focus on the fee income is not new. We have been talking about it for the last few quarters. And the core areas were from where this additional fee income is coming. We have been very transparent in saying where the focus is going to be. The investment banking is one area where we have invested heavily over the last 1 or 2 years, and the results of it are starting to now being shown in terms of P&L. The same is with the wealth management and the private banking business. We have scaled it up, the wealth management, private banking business. So there also we see a lot of fee income being derived from that segment. Now, to say, I mean, yes, we believe that it should be sustainable, but every quarter, every month, you know, is different. There's a market competition is there. Some other bank may come up with another product or another what you call piece of competitive product, so which may go up and down. But on an overall basis, we believe that the fee income will continue to be a substantial part of our what you call income as well as focus area. So that's the specific answer on the fee income side. On the cost side, maybe Shriram can, CFO can answer better, but there's always what you call, in terms of, I'm not sure whether 7% or 7.5%, I can't go into the specific percentages, but we are rationalizing the cost and we are controlling it very prudent way. We are trying to see every penny where is being earned, is being spent in a rightful manner. And whenever we feel that this penny is not bringing more than what is required, or this real is not bringing more than what's required, we are trying to, what you call, ask questions whether this is the right thing to do. Is it sustainable? 7% decline quarter on quarter. We can't make as Shriram forced me to say, you can't make any forward-looking statement. So I can't say about the next quarter or the next half year, how will it look like. But I can say that wherever it's possible to reduce the cost, more to make it more efficient ourselves, we will continue to do so.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. And my follow-up question was, I noticed I was going through your notes and I saw that you managed to maintain your spread even though there was an increase in uptake of the cost of funding, but you pretty much passed on the entire thing on the lending side. When I spoke to other C-level executives at other banks, they did not think it was going to be so straightforward. So, where they said that some of it we'll have to absorb. But when I see your numbers, the increase in lending rate is entirely passed on. Why do you think you were so successful in doing this? What is it that you managed to do that others can't seem to have done this year?
I think partially was answered by Shriram in his presentation. If you see, we were focusing heavily on the retail segment in terms of the diversification. Is no secret, historically, we were heavily concentrated on the institutional deposits. That's come with the very high cost. We have invested heavily, and that's maybe, quite frankly, this is answering both your questions. So we saw an increase in the operating expenses with the branch expansions and the deployment of certain resources in the expanding the retail business. This resulted in us, growing or doubling our kind of funding in the retail, which usually come relatively at a better pricing. So not entirely the additional cost is actually passed into the asset or the lending side, because as you know, a big part of the portfolio, which is the retail portfolio, there is a restriction of regulatory limits on how much you can pass. There is a limit of 6% you cannot exceed in terms of lending. So what happened specifically here is that we were able to reduce, our cost of funding, and part of it, yes, was passed on to the lending side. So it's in our case, it was a combination of both rationalizing or being able to manage the increase in the funding side, as well as in some aspects we were able to reprice those assets where they were substantially at lower prices.
Thank you for that. Very clear. And if you'll allow me one more comment, and I have a few more questions, but I'll obviously let my colleagues ask you that. And this is just a comment. You said that there's not much to talk about the merger. The disclosures were made. But if I have one comment, Mr. Hatmi, that on the 26th of April, there was a revised offer that was submitted from Bank Dhofar that was not disclosed to the market. It was only disclosed on the 17th of May. The first time they made an offer, you guys rejected it, and that was disclosed to the market. But the second offer was not disclosed by you or Bank Dhofar. Is there a reason why, the disclosure was not made?
Which offer again?
This is, I'm referring to the merger disclosure. When Bank Dhofar submitted a revised bid to Ahli Bank on the 26th of April, the disclosure regarding the revised bid was only made on 17th of May by Ahli Bank and Bank Dhofar. And so, while the first time they actually came to you went and the proposal was discussed and rejected, the disclosure was made immediately on the 11th of April. I'm just trying to wonder, why is it that the disclosure was not made? Is there a reason why the disclosure was not made regarding the revised bid?
The second offer, you're referring to the second offer made in the merger proposal by Bank Dhofar.
Yes, sir.
There was a disclosure, as you rightly said, on the first offer, and there was a response also from our side. Then both entities are listed entities, and we are trying to minimize disruptions. And since there is not much of, I would say, difference both banks, decided they need to have a discussion. And then when things is, I would say materialize, then we were planning to go to the market. But in between, we had a takeover offer announced by Ominvest consortium. And this is, in a way, forced both us and Bank Dhofar to go also and make the announcement on the second offer.
If you'll just allow me one last comment on this, I understand that. I just feel that because as a minority investors, we may not be aware of what's happening at the board level. Just in the interest of corporate governance, it would be, it would serve the best interest of minority holders that if there were a revised offer, because, that's how we sort of buy and sell shares in the market, right? Based on that, either Ali Bank is a candidate for takeover or it's not. And the pricing of Ali Bank in the secondary market is determined by that. You already saw that both the parties made you a price to book offer of 1.3 and plus. Now, in the event that the offer goes away, there's a different way of looking at Ali Bank. This is just me sharing my 2 bits as a market participant who's worked in Omani markets for very long, that these disclosures make a lot of sense to us who don't have board representation. How do we buy and sell your securities on a daily basis? Because that's the job we are entrusted to. It's just something, a feedback I wanted to share with you and the team, sir. And I'll do the same on the Bank Dhofar call as well.
Let me maybe just say a little more on this.
Yes, sir.
There is a clear corporate governance and disclosure requirements. And as you rightly said, there is also insider information, which is, there is a process because we and Bank Dhofar, both listed entities, we are governed by the CMA as well as the CBO regulations in terms of the way we conduct our businesses, including the need for any material information to be disclosed to the market. So this was treated like an insider information. We had the confidence of the legal team advising us on those, and we have assessed the impact of both disclosing and not disclosing. And that's not something that's unusual. For example, these quarterly results, board do meet regularly and frequently, and we discuss not only quarterly, sometimes even monthly. So the board will have access, as a board will have access to information in their virtue of being a board members more than other shareholders or more than other investors. But there is, a very clear kind of guidelines, framework, protocols on those aspects. And also not only that, we've been watching the market during those periods, the investor relations as well as the team, and we did not suspect or did not see any unusual kind of trading during those periods, which was not announced. So I guess when I give that assurance and comfort that it was also kind of thoroughly discussed, debated, and we had the legal team look at this subject or this matter very diligently and very specifically.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments and all the very best to you. I'll wait my turn in the queue again. I'm sure my colleagues have questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Bishan Bada, please unmute yourself and go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank you so much for the presentation and the answers so far. I just had two quick, one comment and one sort of question. One would be with regards to sort of, your restructured loan book. You spoke about the risk appetite, etc., and you spoke about how the gross NPLs are, much lower than the sector average, and you're right on that. But if I look at the restructured loan buildup, which we've seen across the sector, I'd like to add, Ali Bank actually stands out on the other side because your restructured loans as a percentage of gross loans are at 17%, 16.7% versus the sector average of 11.5%. So could you, in context of that and your gross NPL, just give us some flavor as to what's happening on the risk side and this build up in restructured loans?
Vishen, again, good afternoon. So this question was answered last quarter and previous to the quarter. The number has not changed. in last quarter, even before that quarter. And we have mentioned, and our reply remains same, that when we are reviewing this COVID-related account and COVID-affected accounts, we have been a bit more liberal with the industry to see if they are affected. So instead of pushing them very hard, we said, okay, let's give some more time to the customer and realign the cash flows of the company with the new reality and let it be what you call a normal process and procedure. Now, I can't comment on the specific other banks because I have not seen what they are doing is internally in their risk management, but we remain confident that what our restructured book is behaving well at this point of time. We already 6 months are past, and we are not seeing any undue alarm at this point of time, which we should be worried about. So yes, these numbers are relatively, we are not completely off the mark. There are a few other banks who are also on the same side of the numbers, but some banks have relatively lower numbers. You are absolutely right. But we believe that what we have done is to align the cash flows of the new reality, as we call it, especially in the tourism sector, especially in the real estate sector, and even in the industry. What you call, a lot of industries have been impacted and affected. So wherever we have given some sort of cash flow repayment holiday or some sort of alignment of cash flows, we have been very conservative, and we have decided to call this as a COVID restructuring and put it them there so we can have a more rigorous assessment going forward on these cases.
Noted.
What was the
Thanks for
second
that.
question?
Now,
Sorry. I didn't get the second question. I forgot.
it was only one question.
sorry.
Now, the second part of that is if I look at your provision coverage, that's around 94% as of June. And we've seen sort of an approach from a lot of other banks, and every bank is different to sort of move towards the 100% provision coverage ratio. So what would your target be for 23 end?
See, there is no target. Provision ratio, a provision comes out of IFRS model. As we all know now, in the IFRS 9 model, tell us what should be the provision. And the provision is based on many aspects. It's based on security which you are holding, the guarantees which you are holding, what type of stage 1, stage 2 accounts you are having. So it's a combination of all. So if you ask me, I would not put any targeted number in terms of provision, depending upon the type of accounts which are getting into, unfortunately, from not so good accounts to bad accounts. We have, for example, if I'm getting a clean account as NPA, I have to make a much more higher provision. But if I'm getting a very strong, solid security account, which is becoming NPA, where there's a very high chance I will recover my principal and interest back, I have to make lesser what you call provision on that. So it's a very difficult answer to say that what should be the targeted number. There's no targeted number. Every account is seen on its merit, and whatever is required is for the model and the objective assessment of the CRO and the risk committees, we put those provisions.
Noted. Thanks for that. Makes sense. The next one would be with regards to return on equity. We've seen this number, and if I'm not mistaken, I think the number we saw on the slides was around 12%, if I'm not mistaken. If you could just put that slide up for everyone's benefit.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
the
go ahead.
6-month return on equity was, I think, mentioned around 12%.
Yes,
With due
yes.
respect, that's on the reported net profit. Now, if I look at your financials, there is a 149 million perpetual bond at 7.5%, which would pay around 11 million real from the bank. Now, that is an explicit cost that has to be serviced. It's not a dividend which is discretionary. So would it not be more prudent to report an adjusted return on equity after perpetual interest? Over end of the day, even your notes mention your EPS after perpetual interest, right? So would it not be more prudent to, alongside a reported net profit, mention adjusted report net profit or a return on equity, sir?
You're absolutely right. You can do that. Probably it's a good point. There's an ROE and there's an adjusted ROE. As we said in the financial word, what you call. What will be the adjusted ROE, Shriram? If you want a specific calculation, we can do and give it to you. I'm sure you would have done your calculation in your own number. Going forward, we can have a look. Yeah. We can put that as an additional point. We can always put that as an additional point. No issues.
And also, it's just the practice actually to report the ROE. So it's just for a comparison, but adjusted ROE is also
it's also gone up as compared to the
previous one. All 81 now, all banks are issuing 81. All banks also, the adjusted ROE will be maybe substantially different from the accounting ROE.
But if you
I
see the
completely
percentage
think,
jump
I think
will be more in the adjusted ROE than the normal ROE because we haven't raised any capital in the last even the last 6 months or 9 months.
I take complete cognizance of that, and we in fact do the exercise for every single bank in the sector. In fact, if anything, it sometimes benefits banks like yourself. But the idea is to have a level playing field because the reported net profit effectively is based also on the proportion that you raise and you deploy. So that was my only comment, and thank you for taking the initiative.
Fair point. I mean, I do appreciate that there's one way of looking at what you call is the adjusted ROE, what we call it. That's a fair point.
Yeah. And so last comment is, the bank paid a dividend close to 17.5 million real in payout, and then came back with a rights issue of 50 million. So almost, close to 35 to 40% of the money paid as dividend was back in the market in terms of a rights issue. So that just sends a mixed signal. I mean, I understand the rationale for the rights issue. The bank has shown phenomenal growth, and that's the path ahead with CET1 in mind. But then to give a dividend of almost 35% of that amount, if you could just reflect upon that for us as investors.
The rights, we're taking the dividend, paying dividend and taking the rights issue. See, I mean, Bishan, I mean, this again, there is no one way or two ways. It all depends upon the investment philosophy, what the board decides, what the AGM decides. As you all know, the dividend is not paid by the management. It's ultimately approved by the AGM, and which includes all the shareholders and investors like you all. I mean, who are what you call present today and present in the AGM. Now, it's the philosophy of what you call each bank, each organization, that what should be the dividend. As far as rights issue and capital are concerned, this is a growth capital. We are what you call, you have seen the numbers are growing pretty fine in terms of our risk assets, in terms of our capital adequacy. And our capital adequacy is what you call CET1 is low, as you rightly said. So we have to do rights issue. Now, as far as dividend is concerned, that's the decision which is taken at a broader level, keeping in view the market sentiment, keeping in view the small investors, keeping in view the expectation of people. So there is no right way. I mean, there's one way or the other way. This reverse question can be asked: if I don't pay you the dividend, people may say, "Oh, why are you not paying dividend?" So these are the questions which can always be put, whichever side you want to put it.
All right, sir. Noted. That's it from me. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Wish you all the best.
Thank you, Michel.
جاسم حمدان.
السلام عليكم أخي سعيد والإخوان.
وعليكم السلام شيخ سعيد.
مساك الله بالخير أخي سعيد والإخوان.
الله مسي بالنور. حياك الله جاسم.
الله يعطيكم الصحة والعافية. أنا الحقيقة يمكن عندي مشكلة في الجهاز، يمكن بعد شوي خلص البتري، فبحاول يعني الأشياء اللي في بالي أقول لك إياها بسرعة. I'll be speaking in Arabic because I think it is better also to be in this discussion sometimes, since it's public and all these people who's already asking, they knew the what you call it, the most of the finance figures, whatever, they already have it there, the analysis. سعيد، أنا بس عندي سؤال بسيط بالنسبة لي، يعني الوقت اللي أنتم مارستوا حق الأفضلية وجبتوا القرار، يعني كان في طبعا انا بشكل عام تعرفني يمكن حوالي 10 سنين دائما اكون موجود في الجمعيه العامه، ويمكن الوحيد العماني اللي موجود. اتمنى ان شاء الله مستقبلا نشوف المساهمين وكل الشباب حتى يكونوا موجودين، وحتى هذه المناقشات انا احس انها اشياء جيده، وهذا هو التواصل، هذا هو المطلوب يعني. ف يعني نقول احنا الاندماجات دائما لها ايجابيات كثيره، فكان عندكم عرضين طبعا بغض النظر عن الاشياء اللي حصلت، بس انتم جيتوا قبل يعني حق الافضليه الوقت اللي اصدرتوه في يعني في وقت انه هو كان في عروض اثنين. طبعا العرض اللي هو مع العمانيه العالميه لتنميه الاستثمار كان حسب طبعا ما حسب رسالتهم انه ما حصلوا استثناء من البنك المركزي حسب القانون الماده 57. فانا ما اعرف هذا الاخوان العمانيه قبل ان يقدموا العرض ما المفروض كانوا، لان هذه الاشياء الاوفر كان يعني اثر على سعر السهم، وكان العرض كان بحدود 200 بيسه. فهذا في اعتقد انا من ناحيه فهمي البسيط ان في اشياء المفروض الاخوان قبل ان يقدموه ما دام فيهم عارفين ان حسب لائحه شو اسمه هذا اللي هي الاستحواذ والسيطره اللي لازم ياخذوا موافقه. فهذا عمل شيء ربكه نوعا ما للناس اللي هي السهم هذا. لكن قبل هذا كله ابى اعرف ليش انتم باغين تكبروا راس المال؟ انا اعتقد يعني البنك هو يعتبر مقاتل البنوك الثانيه يعتبر هو الادنى منه، او انا ما بقول صغير، اكبر من الصغير شوي، حوالي 3 مليار موجودات ماله. فليش تحتاجوا في هذا الوقت؟ كان ممكن تنتظروا للسنه الجايه مثلا، او حتى توزعوا اسهم مجانيه، او حتى تعملوا قصد ان في هذا الوقت ان الافضليه بشكل عام من ناحيه اللي هي قبل ان نتكلم عن الاندماجات او اللي حصلت في الاندماجات. الهدف
السؤال ما واضح جاسم، انقطع الصوت.
عفوا، بس بالنسبه اللي هي حق الافضليه عشان تكبروا راس المال. انتم اوريدي، انا بالنسبه لي كمساهم بسيط، راس المال مالكم حوالي بحدود 200 مليون ريال، مقارنه لما اشوف البنك الوطني مثلا والاصول ماله اكبر في حدود 160. فشفت انا حتى برايي الشخصي ان ما محتاجين في هذا الوقت ان حق الافضليه. كان البنك يعني اداء جيد، وطبعا حتى النمو. انت عارف الاقتصاد عندنا يمكن اقتصادنا يعني الحمد لله الامور تعدلت الحين، لكن حتى الجروث اللي عندكم سواء وكل البنوك الثانيه مثلا القروض الشخصيه حاليا التوظيف صار صعب، فبالتالي يعني الجروث ما هو بهذه فما محتاجين يعني كنتوا حق الافضليه. هذا اللي في بالي.
صار جاسم، عندنا اللي هو كفايه راس المال، معدل كفايه راس المال هو اللي نمشي عليه، وهو اللي عليه يعني البنك المركزي بالنسبه للملاءه الماليه للبنوك. فاحنا محتاجين نرفع كفايه راس المال حاليا اساس نواصل النمو، لان الحين السي اي تي 1 اللي نسميه سي تي 1 اللي هو راس المال الكابيتال من الفئه الاولى الحين اقل من 10%.
انا بس يمكن ما باقي عندي موسم هذا البتري بيخلص، بعطيك الاسئله وان شاء الله بشوف اكيد المقابله هذه بعدين ردك عليها. انا حقوق المساهمين او الحقوق اللي هي حوالي بحدود 450، فما اعرف يعني لما اقارن الارقام مع البنوك الثانيه. عموما اتمنى التوفيق ان شاء الله. بس سالفه اللي هو يعني الاندماج، انا دائما يمكن حتى لما احضر الجمعيات شايف انه والله الاندماجات البنوك الصغيره، لان انا عارف الجروث يمكن ما بهذيك الدرجه ممكن يكون، فالاندماج تعطي قوه، وهذا اللي حصل الحين ببنك سحار مع البنك الاخوان اللي هو الاس بي سي. فاتمنى ان شاء الله يعني يمكن نظرتكم انتم كاداره تنفيذيه ومجلس الاداره بحكم ان هذا البنك تمتلكه مؤسسات عامه اللي معظمها صناديق تقاعد وجهاز الاستثمار. فالاندماج هذه نحن عند صغار المساهمين يمكن ما ناثر حتى لما نحضر جمعيات ونتكلم، هي دائما دمج البنوك طبعا حسب القرارات البنك المركزي وحسب هيئه سوق المال يكون دائما افضل. فاتمنى السعي كاداره تنفيذيه وكمجلس اداره، لان معظم اعضاء مجلس الاداره يمثلوا اكيد صناديق اللي هي الحكوميه. المشكله عندنا في البنوك يمكن بعض الاحيان الاعضاء في مجالس الادارات يمكن تعرف يمثلوا صناديق، فبالتالي يمكن هذه المكافآت اللي معظم البنوك حصلت 300,000 يمكن لما نشوف العدد والله هذا 7 وهذا 9 وهذا 11 ولا نشوف حتى حجم البنك ونشوف حتى اللي هي ارباح البنك وهذه الامور. انا ما اعرف يمكن يحتاج الهيئه سوق المال تتدخل في هذه الامور على اساس ان تكون افضل في المستقبل. هذا شيء انا بس بحاول اتكلم بسرعه لانه ما عندي مثل ما قلت ببند. بالنسبه للمسؤوليه الاجتماعيه يا اخي سعيد، انا اعتقد يمكن حوالي عندكم 200,000 معطيين الموافقه، والحقيقه البنك ما يعني ما يصرف هذه المبالغ اللي هي المطلوبه. يعني دائما اتمنى ان شاء الله 200,000 وحتى زياده، لان المسؤوليه الاجتماعيه احس منها هي كثير مطلوبه من الجهات هذه الشركات المساهمه العامه بشكل عام، خصوصا البنوك ما شاء الله امكانياتها جيده. فاتمنى يكون هذا طلب، واتمنى ان شاء الله انت كرئيس تنفيذي للبنك هذا، وان شاء الله نلتقي في يوم من الايام ان شاء الله ونشوف كيف الافضل يكون وجود البنك من خلال المسؤوليه الاجتماعيه. بالنسبه للتوظيف بشكل عام، انا ما اعرف كم وظفتوا، لان عندكم ما شاء الله فروع زياده. انا يمكن اخر مره قلت لكم يمكن الفروع ما تحتاجوا لان كنا نتكلم قبل سنين انه والله فتح فروع والاداره ما قادره تفتح فروع. الحين انا في وقت صعب نوعا ما، وقت يعني اقتصادي صعب، فالاندماجات هي الافضل. فما اعرف انا كم فرع فتحت السنه الماضيه، السنه هذه ايش ممكن تدفعوا. طبعا بالنسبه لحتى التدريب، ما تدريب للشباب الاعماليين، اعتقد ان شاء الله اتلاقى معك ونلاقي وسيله او طريقه كيف ان شاء الله نقدر نساعد الشباب حتى التدريب. انا ما اقول لكم توظيف، يمكن ما محتاجين توظيف، الاوتوماتيد الحين ما شاء الله، لكن في طريقه لتدريب الشباب ونشوف شباب اعماليين موجودين خصوصا في الفاينانس بشكل عام. مشكور عموما اخي سعيد، واسمح لي يمكن انقطع الارسال عني، فعموما ممكن ترد وان شاء الله بشوفها في بالكم تسجيل ان شاء الله بعون الله. شكرا.
بس معظم الملاحظات هذه ناخذها ملاحظات، ما في سؤال مباشر نقدر نرد عليه.
شوف جاسم، احنا تكلمنا في المواضيع عدة مرات. يعني احنا عندنا منهجية معينة، سواء نتكلم عن التوظيف او سواء عن المسؤولية الاجتماعية ومشاركة البنك ومساهمته. الحين اطلاع الشخص من عدمه، يعني احنا موجودين في السوق، في دائما يعني عندنا قسم مختص بهذه الامور، سواء كان في يعني السياسة، عندنا ناس مختصين يحددوا احتياجات البنك من ناحية التوظيف، عندنا ناس مختصين اصلا في قسم التدريب وتطوير الموظفين، وعندنا برامج. فهذه أشياء يعني بديهية وطبيعية، كل مؤسسة بحجم البنك الأهلي تقوم فيها وتنفذها. هذه أشياء يعني يلها أسس ويلها منهجية ويلها نظام ويلها ناس قائمين عليها معانا في البنك، يعني مهمتهم الأساسية هي تنفيذ هذه المهام. هذا جزء أصيل يعني من مهام البنك. احنا بس ما انه والله ناخذ ايداعات ونقرض، لا، عندنا موظفين نوظف، احنا جزء من المجتمع ونساهم فيه بالتفاصيل. بس اعتقد نفس الشيء مثل ما قال حبيب، المجال ما هو ان ندخل في تفاصيل اوبريشنال مثل هذا كلها تعكس في اداء البنك وفي توجه البنك وفي مساهمه البنك في مختلف يعني المجالات. فالملاحظات يعني مقدرة ومشكور عليها، ولكن تأكد إنه سواء نتكلم عن يعني مساهمة البنك من ناحية التوظيف أو حتى من ناحية التدريب مثل ما قلت، أو حتى المشاريع الاجتماعية، يعني البنك يعني مساهم بشكل كبير جدا في كل هذه الأمور، ونشتغل عليها، وجزء من عملنا اليومي، جزء من عملنا يعني الدائم. وهذه مثل ما قلت مهمة ومهام أساسية حالنا احنا كإدارة وزملائنا في مختلف الإدارات في البنك بالتأكيد يعني.
شكرا ظهر انا عندي بعد البتري هذا لا باس فيه مشي. اخي بس سعيد، انا يمكن مثل ما انت وضحت الحين، لكن في اشياء كثيره نحن يعني كمجتمع حتى مساهمين صغار او حتى كمستثمرين، في اشياء تكنيكال الواحد يعني ممكن يتكلم فيها، لكن يمكن ما اقدر يمكن او انه حتى مثل ما قلت لك. لكن اهم شيء اتمنى لكم التوفيق بعون الله. انا ما يمكن عندي اضافه ثانيه، بس سالفه اللي هي الاندماج هذا، اتمنى ان شاء الله نظره تكون ايجابيه من سواء من الاداره التنفيذيه او حتى مجلس الاداره، لان اعتقد الاندماجات بالنسبه للبنوك الصغيره خصوصا اللي هو النمو في هذه القطاع، يعني تعرف لما نخلق مؤسسات ماليه قويه تكون دائما افضل للاقتصاد وافضل للبلد. اداره تكون جيده على المستوى، ادارتكم الحمد لله في البنك الاهلي اداره جيده، صحيح ان مثل ما قلت لك يعني حجم البنك يعتبر صغير مقارنه بالاحجام الموجوده اللي هي قريبه من المتوسط. واتمنى لك التوفيق ان شاء الله والاخوان معك، واتمنى اشوف ان شاء الله يوم من الايام كنت في مسؤول المالي لهذا البنك، طبعا كنت رئيس تنفيذي، وحاليا اشوف الاخوان الاجانب موجودين، ان شاء الله نشوف شباب عمانيين في المناصب هذه خصوصا الماليه بعون الله. لا اتمنى لك التوفيق ان شاء الله انت والاخوان الزملاء.
شكرا ياسر.
Joyce Matthew, please unmute yourself and go ahead.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for the presentation. I have a question on your operating expenses during this quarter. What I'm looking at is major reduction, as you know, one of the earlier questions was the reduction in the operating expenses. But what I'm looking at is compared to June level, the second quarter, you know, there is not significant difference, but on a quarterly basis, sequential basis, I'm seeing a major dip, and in third quarter of last year, the operating expenses has gone up. So, and the major difference is in the staff expenses, the salaries. So, can you throw some light on this? Now, from 6.2 million, staff expenses are down to 5.6 million. And what are the reasons for this? And what would be, will it be repetitive of last year's trend?
See, I mean, we answered this question before. I'm not sure you're there. See, there's always what you call, getting into specifics. I think we're getting into a bit more minute details of few 100,000, which doesn't change the entire, what you call, from the profitability of the bank of 20 million approximately real. That's a very minor amount, few 100,000 real here and there. But having said that, this always what you call every quarter we'll have some accruals, which will be what you call seen in the context of whether it's required, not required, what you call, and whenever we believe it's not required, that will be what you call not taken off. So these are the normal exercise which the banks continue to do it on every quarter. So, but it's not a material change which will completely what you call 500 or 400,000 real will change the complete dynamics of the profitability of the bank, especially on an overall year basis when the bank is making approximately 30-35 million real profit. If you look at it, it's a very small number, but it's not some trend or any what you call a specific major thing which has happened. So we should not be taken as that. It should be taken as a normal what you call exercise of, accounting exercise, which keeps on happening, a few 100,000 here and there.
The operating expenses being growing, as I said, because of our expansions, our retail banking expansion, as well as our investment in the digital transformation. Now this journey has been, we've been almost 3 years into this journey. And of course, at some point of time, there's some sort of rationalizations is happening on our operations, whether it's, to do with the consolidation or branch consolidation or on the resource consolidation as well. But this is not something that of significance, as Bilal said. Now, throughout, even the previous years, there would be, some variances quarter in quarter, but that kind of normally normalized or smoothed out throughout the year. We don't expect like a big differences or a big variance apart from those expenses, which is resulting from the expansion and the growth plans. Now, if we have added 20 branches, as we said, in the last few years, and those branches definitely would need to almost double the number of people at the branch levels. These are kind of part of the normal repositioning of our business model as well. And also with the digitalization, some branches, right now, we may not necessarily need the same number of resources, but these kind of expenses are spent elsewhere in terms of investing in technology. So it's all adds up, at some point of time.
But gentlemen, when we look at one of the key KPIs or the determinants of the profitability of the bank, we look at cost to income ratio as one of the efficiency parameters of the bank. So what we see that earlier you had average a cost to income ratio of around 43%, and right now this quarter we are seeing an aberration that it has came down to 36.5%. So we are trying to understand what are the drivers that led to this significant savings in your operating cost, and what would be your kind of comfortable level going forward? Will it be repetitive or will it be sustainable? So if we can throw some light on that, that would be much appreciated. That especially from the modeling perspective, it's of more importance to us.
Yeah.
Okay. See, the cost income ratio overall for the 6 months was around 39.9%. 36.5% probably you're mentioning for this quarter, specifically for the 3 months ended June, probably.
Yes.
So our cost income ratio, see, there are two components of it. One is the operating income part, which has also grown significantly, which has led to the result of reduction in the ratio. And the second is the expense part, where the bank is having a multiple level of expansion in terms of what the site said, that there is an expansion in the retail branches. Also, we moved into the new head office building recently. So all these things tend to increase the operating expenses. So we continuously monitor this and try to see where we could control. And this monitoring of expenses at very granular level is an ongoing process. So there are some one-offs probably included in those kind of monitoring and reduction in expenses that would have taken place. So this cost income ratio would be range bound at the levels which you are seeing in the next 1 or 2 years, post which all our digitalization thing will see for increase in the operating income, which will reduce our cost income ratio to pre-pandemic levels.
Perpetual bonds which are coming due for first call or approaching the first call date very soon by the end of this year. So right now you are coming up with the rights issue. So I'd be more interested in knowing what's your strategy for this perpetual bond. Do you have any plans for calling it, or will it run for the next call date?
We will be able to let you know once the board takes an appropriate decision, because this is not information which is still in public domain or is not being decided. So we will not be, but we will come to the market at the right time once we have a more required approvals from the authority and the proper disclosure. We will come whatever the strategy of the bank is, but we will not be able to give you a statement what we are going to do a few months down the line at this point of time. We apologize for that.
Thank you. That's it from my side. And one comment that I've looked at is you just mentioned that one of the key focus areas will be your investment banking revenue, but very recently I came to know that there's a key man risk that you were running, and your head of investment banking has left the bank for whatever reasons. So how do you what is your strategy? This person was very it is after this person has joined that the investment banking division has started flourishing, and now that this person has left, what's your strategy for this? How are you planning to tackle this situation?
I take strong exception to your statement, Joyce. There's no key man risk in investment banking. We do not want to comment on specific individuals. That's against this is not the purpose of this investor presentation. Bank has 970 people, 900 plus people. There are a lot of people who resign and who leave from the bank, and a lot of people who join. The bank is very well equipped and very well handled. There's a proper succession planning. There's a proper what you call efficient and professional people running each and every stream of the business. So rest assured as an investor, rest assured as a customer, that no what you call issues will be happening in any department, irrespective of who leaves the bank or who joins the bank. This is a bank of 16 years, and we have been running this bank with a very strong professional what you call watch. And we want to assure each one of you, do not get what you call affected by market news that A has resigned or B has left or C has come. So we categorically once again state that there is no going to be difference in any department, and I'm not going to comment specifically on any specific individual or department, but the bank functions and remains in very solid and good hands.
Okay, it's already 4:02.
Any other question before we close?
Yes, sir. If you'll allow me one question, I'll leave it up to you.
Yes, please.
I was looking at the retail book compared to the overall book, and it's no secret that Ali Bank is one of the lowest in the sectors. At this point, it actually makes sense because there's a cap of 6% lending rate on the retail side. Have you had, and with CBO repo rate at almost 6%, have there been any sort of talks with the regulator to increase this lending rate cap? Because interest rates are high and they're here to stay. So I just wanted to see, because part of your profile would be to engage with regulators. What do you see their sort of response on raising the ceiling on the retail side? And in conjunction with that, what's your strategy? Like, what sort of retail to corporate mix do you see 3 years from now? That's my last question.
Yeah, as I said, interest rate, this is today's environment is an elevated, exceptionally elevated interest rate environment. And as you are rightly said, any segments or products that are capped in terms of the bank's ability to reprice and match the market rate, it will be faced with the challenges. With regards to the cap on retail, it's not only a pure, I would say, yes, it's a regulatory issue, but also is a social, I would say, matter, very sensitive. We do understand and we have confidence in the regulators. If the current situation is sustained for long, they will take the appropriate decisions. But at this point of time, we are not aware if the central bank is uplifting or revising the cap on the retail business. And as I said, I think this is maybe it's it's a subject that will require some sort of debate and discussion if interest rates continue to be at this level for long. I hope that's.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I hear you. Thank you for that.
All right, then we thank you for attending today, and we'll meet you, inshallah, for the Q3 results. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.